good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Tales of the Game, episode 9, on the tweet and high value males. All right, fresh back from the trip, fresh back from vacation abroad, but we're back to work over here on Man's Hour because we don't take any rest and no breaks over here. It was a great trip, met a lot of really based individuals and saw a lot of cool stuff, but that will be a stream for another day when I do a recap on that one. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was something that was popping off while I was away, as things tend to do. And it was the infamous tweet. I'm sure everybody saw this. Everybody was asking for my takes and my comments on it because, everybody's just looking for everyone to dunk and dogpile and disavow or confirm or whatever the hell people want from you when it relates to certain topics. But I wanted to chime in on this a little bit because I think I got a different angle to take on it than some of the other guys you've seen talk about it. So first of all, oh, there we go. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Nice little T-Rex symbol there. Dynamite, the T-Rex army. Always appreciated to be in the chat. And yeah, we're going to touch this terrible, terrible topic, Mish, for, oh man, it's going to be a dumpster fire, as we've all seen. So let's pull it up here and we'll get to it. There we go. All right, here it is. The tweet, the meme, dun dun dun. Oh no, high value male enters the chat. Good lord, everyone screes and rees and Jesus. All right, so actually let's make this a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, so surely everyone saw this. This was Rolo's viral tweet that went out. What was it, like 2 weeks ago or something? What day was it? May 2nd. Yeah. So that's. Oh yeah, like 10 days ago now, something like that. 6.4 million views on it right now, which is got to be one of the higher tracking tweets Rolo's done in a very long time. So good for him on this. But naturally, Rolo chimed in on the high value man question, the dreaded question that you see everywhere, all over the place right now by all of the I don't know, what do you want to call them? The red meat manosphere kinds of guys like, oh man, what is high value? What is this? What is that? Is this a high value alpha behavior coming from this guy? Do you have to have 6 figs? Do you got to have 6 feet tall? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian? Are you trad? Are you father? Are you whatever? And it's just, it's all just a load of bullshit. So let's just go through really quickly here the 8 steps, quickest path to become a high value man, as Rolo Tomasi says. And then we're going to go through these really quick, and I'm just going to basically just dunk on everybody else's horrible takes and horrible responses to this nonsense, and why so many people are fucking this up, and why everybody who was asking my take on this while I was on vacation are really missing the point. And hopefully I can shed some light on for you guys as to why all this is, just kayfabe and no one should be really caring about it. But even if so, we'll just take it from the start here. Obviously, a very good bait tweet. All the words here were chosen very, very carefully for obvious reasons, and we'll go into those as to why in a moment here. But let's just put this into the context of the discussion of all the goofballs in the sphere right now. Your Fresh and Fits, your Sneakos, your Destiny, apparently, that fucking blue-haired cock smurf, weaseling into everything. Your whatever podcast, your who the fuck is that ginger chick? Pearl out of Britain over there, all that stuff. Funny enough, I was thinking while I was over there in London to possibly go on her show, but I decided against it for a number of reasons. Number one, obviously, because I didn't want to make that show be like the docs. And the same reason I went over to the Lotus Eaters studio as well. Didn't end up recording anything with them either because I was like, yeah, no. When we get to the point where, I do a face reveal, it'll be on something, way huger than those platforms. So if that ever comes to the case. But anywho, so we'll go through Rolo's thing right here. So starting at the top, quickest path to becoming a high value man. Number 1, do not get married. Okay, well, for many of reasons, we know why this is a bad idea for guys in the West these days, and our good friend Steven Crowder just proved to us once again as to why, Aaron Clary says it all the time. We are in a post-marriage world, and this is entirely correct. These days, there really just is no upside for you getting married as a guy in the West these days. Now, that doesn't mean that, there's like a blanket ban on anything like this. Like, no, nobody's giving prescriptions. No one's giving advice here. These are just, right off the start here, you notice why the words that were chosen very carefully here. The word quickest is the most important word in this entire thing right here. And let's just say that we got Rolo's ear in these things. He very much knows what he's doing. He's no dummy. The guy's been in this space for over 20 years and has written the most, what would you say, the most prolific work in the entire space in 2013, the Rational Male book, plus all of his blog posts from, a decade and a half before that book was even published. So the man knows what he's doing. And he's choosing his words very carefully for a reason. The quickest path. He didn't say the best path. He didn't say the most honorable path. He didn't say the most desirable path. He didn't say any of these kinds of words that people were attaching to this claim here. So being a high value man, as Roll Tomasi defines it in his book, the first Rational Male book, is the man that other men want to be and women want to bang, and that's it. All this bullshit that everyone sees thrown around of the high value man is like $1 million and he's a millionaire and he makes 6 figures a year and he's got a Lambo and he bangs 100 chicks and he's the leader of his community and he's the patriarch of his family and he's the head of his church and he lifts weights and he kills boars with a knife and eats their organs fresh on the battlefield after that, and then he runs nude and suns his balls and whatever the fuck everybody else attached to this is nonsense. There's a reason why in that book, in the very beginning, it was a broad term used because there is no like one way to skin a cat with all these kinds of things for obvious reasons, because men are not collective in a way in that there is let's call it like a 12-step program for you to be successful as a dude. There's multiple ways to do this because as guys, you are first of all an individual and you have to craft your own frame and what you want out of the world for yourself. You shouldn't be one of the reasons you can definitely tell if you guys haven't made it at all is if you read this thing right away and if you take anything that Rollo says here as an immediate prescription for you in your own life. Like, why immediately does everyone attach this to like, Rollo is telling guys to do this. Rollo is telling guys to not get married. Rollo is telling guys not to have a family. Rollo is telling guys to get a vasectomy. So even if you were to take this on face value, which you shouldn't be in the first place, but even if you were, why are you letting a random guy on the internet who has a big following control your life and your decisions for your life in any way, shape, or form? That just tells me you haven't made it yet. That just tells me you don't understand this space. You don't understand the material or anything like this. If Rollo says like a high value man gets a vasectomy and you don't have a vasectomy, that doesn't make you high value in Rollo's eyes. Then why the fuck do you care? Why are you freaking out about this like everybody else was? Like all the trad cons who were spurging out over this entire thing, responding with their own lists of like what actually makes high value. And whenever anybody says this term like high value male, they just graft on their own pet ideologies or the pet points of whatever the hell it is that they want to sell people on, and they call that high value. If you're a trad con, it's getting married when you're 18 years old to the first woman you ever meet and you have a big family and like you're the leader of your church and you're the leader of your household and you have the white picket fence and all this bullshit, like that's high value to that guy. If you're like a pickup artist guy who's in his 50s and just wants to bang hoes all day, like the high value for you is, getting as many women as quickly as possible without using your resources. Like, again, there are many ways to skin this cat and we use these terms as abstractions for a reason. Because there's many different guys. Like what's high value to me in my hierarchy is going to be different to you in your hierarchy. Being high value in like, let's say a university, for example, when, the age of your competition is much younger, the resources and assets that they have is much younger. Maybe the guys in your hierarchy are, a little bit more autistic because you're younger or whatever it is. Like high value in that context is going to be way more different than high value at a business meeting. It's going to be different than high value in a church. It's going to be different than high value in, a bar or a nightclub, or just out on the street, or, like running for politics, whatever it is. These are abstract terms for a reason. And people shouldn't be so obsessed with, each guy's, pet term for what like high value actually is to that dude, because we all have different definitions of it because we all want different things. And that's totally fine. And you shouldn't be looking for, a shepherd, like you shouldn't be a sheep in search of somebody to lead you. This is a big reason why so many of our guys have gripes with people like Jordan Peterson, who who have like a 12 rules for life program. Well, now it's what, like 24 or something. He came out with the second book. So now it's a 24 rules for life program. And if you follow these 24 steps, I'm going to get to level 24, high value guy with his life in order and things like this. It's like, no, that's not how it is, man. Like you got to think and make decisions for yourself because you're a dude and it's your responsibility to, carve your own meaning and your own place in this world. Like maybe some of these things are going to, maybe your definition of what's high value to you is going to overlap with Rolo's here. Maybe you agree with all these terms. Maybe you just agree with it like flat out of the gate. That's fine. Maybe you disagree with all of them. That's also fine. Like we're not here to, start this like random movement of like Roloites or Ryanites or Red Pillites or Troy Francisites or Jack Napierites or Red Hawkites or anybody else like this. Like, no, that's not the point of any of this kind of stuff. The point with everything here is for you guys to start thinking for yourselves. We have multiple tools for any of these kinds of things you want in your life. Maybe you don't want to have kids, and maybe high value to you is just making a lot of money and running around and shagging whatever you can with no consequences. Then maybe vasectomy is in your best interests. Maybe for you, you want to have a family, but you also want to have a lot of unprotected sex for a long period of time, and you just don't want to have to worry about like falsely impregnating a girl, and because then you're on the hook for child support or something like this, or maybe you're just against abortion. You want to go around it on this way, and you want to have a vasectomy, and you want to freeze your sperm and have a girl like pay you so you can have full control over the birth, which a lot of like really rich dudes do these days. That's an option for you to do as well. And what we all want for you guys, like if you come into this space and you're trying to figure this stuff out, is you shouldn't be having your frame shattered by one single dude online on a Twitter post that just happens to disagree with your worldview or your ideology or whatever pet project it is that you want to have in your house, or what's going on for your own life. This you should be like this aloof, unmovable mover. Basically, it's just like, okay, yeah, he says something, that's fine. And basically, that's exactly what happened with me. Like when I saw this tweet go out maybe like 15, 20 minutes after like Rolo tweeted out the first time, and I never reacted to it. I mean, you could see I didn't like it and retweet it. I did nothing to it. I didn't like post to it afterwards. Nothing went on with it. I just like looked at it, read it, and moved on with it. I mean, because I disagree with like a couple of these things here, but I'm not out there spurging out because like Rolo Tomasi, and I like disagree on something. Like obviously I have a lot of respect for the guy. His work has been very, very helpful to me in my entire life, and I'm always going to support him in that regard. But like I don't have to agree with everything the guy says, and if we disagree on something, it doesn't mean I have to like disown him or something like that. It's just so absurd, So that right off the bat is, if you disagree with it, then fine, move on. You shouldn't be spurging out and flipping out about it or like counter signaling or doing anything like this. And I saw so many of our guys like on the DR like reacting to this kind of stuff, particularly the women, were just like dunking on us and falling for the bait, which you knew they would, So I saw all that going on. It seems like the one that people were always like stuck on was like the vasectomy thing, which guys, when we talk about the concept of the longhouse, this is one of the things you really, really got to pay attention to. All right. Listen here. What a vasectomy is, in the description that we're using it right here, is not a sterilization tool, like completely knocking you out of the gene pool. What a vasectomy is in this context that we're using is that is the ultimate way for a guy to have 100% control over the birth. It is a entirely male-centric, like, I don't want to use the fucking word empowerment because it has like a bunch of like gay references to it, but it's essentially what it is. It's essentially giving a guy 100% control of the birth. All right. It puts the ball more in your court kind of deal. Now, it might be extreme. It might not be something that you want to do, and that's totally fine. But when you see other guys like counter signaling this kind of thing, for the benefit of women at the detriment of a guy and the guy's agency and a guy's own control of his own world, this is the kind of shit that we're talking about when we say the longhouse. Okay. Why is it that when a girl in our spaces or something reacts, it says like, oh, well, this is going to cause problems for guys in their gene pool or something like this? Number one, it tells me that they obviously haven't done the research, which, shocker, most people haven't. And then two, that tells me that when the guys come in afterwards, like to pull rear guard action, basically. So now it makes it slightly more difficult for a woman to lock down a man with, a kid, or his high price seed or whatever the hell you want, or sperm jack the guy or something like this. No matter how rare these things are, this is just some like a tool that's at your disposal as a dude. And whenever I see somebody counter signaling that in this extremely feminized world we're living in, that just tells me all I need to know right there. Like, if you disagree with it, that's fine. You don't have to go like, being a super duper cheerleader for like vasectomies or something stupid like that. I mean, I'm not, I don't think it's the best idea. Honestly, I think like there's far more easier ways for you to avoid this kind of stuff than, going through a full blown procedure to, snip your tube, so to speak. And yes, I know like you could freeze it. And yes, I know you could do full blown like, just extractions through a syringe, like right through your balls to get your sperm to. I know it's not a full like gelding or castration. I'm well aware of that. Doesn't mean I need to be a supporter of it, for many reasons. But I'm also not like going out of the way of counter signaling if some dude wants to get one. Like my buddy Aaron Clary, he got a vasectomy. He got one. I may disagree, but I'm not out there like counter signaling that dude, to make a decision that is, more beneficial to him in his circumstance, in his situation, in his life, and what he wants out of it. It's not my business to be doing that. And it really isn't anybody else's any other man's business to be doing that either. So again, why are you having this negative reaction? Why are you counter signaling people for the detriment of men to the benefit of women, even if you disagree with something? Just chill. Like a guy with a huge following is allowed to say something different than you, and you're allowed to shut up about it and not have it affect you. So let's move on here. That's like kind of like the really big like objective one that everyone had here was kind of like the first three right there. Lift consistently, no objections there. I don't think anybody would have one. Eliminate all sedations. Yeah, it's a good one too. Like just essentially like laziness. Obviously, eliminate that kind of stuff. Eliminate huge distractions. Learn game and networking. Obviously, no issues there. Play to your strengths and build wealth. Yep. Really self-explanatory stuff there. And resist easing up of your focus. Yeah, fantastic. No issues there. Everyone was just seeming to have like the objections with the first three right here. And again, why were they having the objections to these first three? And again, like I was saying before, when we talk about things like the longhouse, these are things that you watch for, because all three of these top three things right here, all are the only ones that actually, like, if you take these three out here, who else is this affecting? These top three right here are affecting the women. These bottom five right here are not. These are all like inward focusing kind of things, like lift consistently. That's something you do entirely for yourself. To look good, to have good physical fitness, to have good health, to live longer in your life. Eliminate all sedations. Again, that's a thing for yourself. Eliminate laziness, eliminate distractions, eliminate sloth and addictions. Again, that's like inward facing. Game and networking, same thing. Build wealth, same thing. Focus. Like these are all, like introspective kinds of things. And these other three right here, the reason why everyone's bitching about them and complaining about them is because they affect the women. And this is one of the things I really want to point out to you guys when you see people dogpile on this kind of thing. I mean, and there were tons of these, there's Lauren Chen right there. It's like your bloodline is weak and ends with you, and like legacy 20th century thing. I understand what Roll was saying there, but I understand other people have issues with that. But yeah, and there were all kinds of these trads that were going on these things. Yeah, and again, like, why is a woman concerned about bloodlines and consistencies and endings and things like this? It's trads like really have this way, and I know like Academic Age has been talking about this a lot recently, and I tend to agree as well, is that trads really have it in their brain that so much of what is, the best parts of masculinity, the legacy, leaving a name, all these things, everything that seems to be like the pinnacle for masculinity for trads is fatherhood. And this is just simply not the case. Like the essence of manhood, the absolute top of your I don't know, what would you call it? Like, I don't know, like the absolute essence of being a man, you would have to be a thing that you could do in the state of nature without, somebody else, without like some other external, person involved with it. Yeah, if people understand what I'm getting at here. I see somebody like Achilles or Genghis Khan as much more the pinnacle of masculinity than I see like, any, dude bro, like sports bar dad, like who just happened to like plop out a couple kids for no reason, like epitome. Yeah. Thank you. Westlake in the chat. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Yeah, exactly. So why is it that, and you always see the women do this as well, they just have to tilt everything back to what's most beneficial for them, and they don't do this intentionally, which is another reason why it's just best not to even like have arguments with them in these situations, because like it's just what they do, they can't help it, so it's not really like I do remember this. I wish I could pull it up, but she got banned again. So before DOA got banned again on Twitter, she reacted to this, saying like, this sounds like commie subversion kind of deal. And after I had one back and forth with her, basically just saying like, DOA, don't read into the kayfabe. She's like, I spell Bolshevism. And I just responded with a GIF of a guy petting a little bunny rabbit on the head, on its head, and just sent that back to her. It's like one of those like, run along, dear. Like the men are talking. We're gonna deal with this kind of deal. And of course, like, she just went out and responded in a whammon kind of way. It's like, oh, that's so cute. It's like, yeah, that's how you respond in these situations. You don't try and have an argument. We're not here to discuss ideas back and forth. Like, no, this is, let the men talk right now. The men are speaking. And let's see. Let's go through a couple more of these here. There was let me see here. I know like all the Daily Wire guys were ripping on this at some point. Might have been quote tweets, but there's no way now I'm gonna find it. There was so many reactions to this. Let me look at these quotes. Maybe some of them will pop up real quick. Yeah, no, none of them. All right. Anywho, yeah. So basically that's kind of all I wanted to say on this. Just give my like 2 cents on the whole issue here about everyone reacting and everyone bitching out and everyone just flaming about saying like, oh man, like all these like red pill guys are completely insane and they're telling guys to do this and telling guys to do that. It's like, no, we don't give prescriptions. It's not our job. We're not telling people how to, go about and live their lives. We're just, guys swapping notes, what it always has been. If you got an issue with something, come to the Sphere, find an old Reddit post. There's bound to be a guy who's gone through a similar situation as you, and you could read up on that and then swap notes with other dudes who've been having the same issues as you. And through trial and error, we've basically done the greatest sociological study in history, with hundreds of thousands of field reports of millions of dudes. And you're bound to find, a guy who's been in a similar situation as you, and you can adjust and plan accordingly. And why do we do this? Because there are no institutions left for men. All the male institutions are gone. All the in-person ones are done. All the ones that were traditionally like patriarchy ran have all been subverted by women. We're talking about politics, churches, male spaces, TV, everything. It's just been inserted by has been, taken over by the women and infested with them. So why do we have this space? Well, it's the only one that it's the only male space that we have left. And even that's getting invaded by women at every possible turn, but that's a different story for another day. So basically, yes, when you guys see stuff like this, if you agree, fantastic. If you disagree, that's great too. Don't go running about reacting to everything. Stop taking everything so seriously. Stop letting every little micro thing that some guy says, no matter if he's an internet celebrity or not, do not like read into all the kayfabe. You just immediately start changing your life around because like, Rolo said this, so therefore I have to do this. It's like, stop thinking that way. Start thinking for yourself. You're not a sheep, you're a predator, and a predator goes out and hunts and he makes decisions for himself. So you really just need to get this drilled into your skull that you could be out there looking for advice from some other people, but nobody is signing up to be your guru, your leader, your cult leader, nothing like this, your savior, your messiah. Like you shouldn't be looking for guys in that mold in your life. You can look people for role models and things like this, but you just gotta be really, really careful, guys. Like start thinking for yourself. You're allowed to do that and you're supposed to do that. So that's all I wanted to say on this. Don't be reacting to everything. Take a deep breath. Just realize it's the internet. And if these things speak to you, then go ahead and do them. You're not going to hear any flack from anybody else. And if they don't speak to you, that's fine. Leave them alone. Go do your own thing. And just ignore the term high value male immediately, because anyone who uses it is just trying to sell you something. It's just trying to sell you on whatever it is their grift is, whatever it is their goals are. It's like it's no different than a real man does X. Just ignore it. Go do your own thing. And what's going to be high value for you is not necessarily going to be high value for anybody else. High value to me is being a huge big game hunter, having as much free time as possible and traveling around the entire world, banging broads and shooting big things and mounting them on my wall and then eating them. like that's high value to me. It might be different for you, and that's totally okay. So if there's nothing else to address, then I'll just quickly wrap it up right here. Turn that off. Don't need to do that. All right. Cool. No super chats. Yeah, I just wanted to hop on real quick and basically just tell all you guys that you need to not react to everything and take a deep breath and all that good stuff. So, all right, cool. Man's Hour, we'll have an episode this Thursday. We'll be back on schedule. I had to take Thursday off because, I was flying back across the pond and I was super jet lagged, and I'm only just now getting over it, after a couple of days. So I don't know, maybe I'll do a like early morning stream tomorrow and kind of just do like a recap of my misadventures and whatnot, because it was pretty fun. I got to meet up with a lot of cool friends of ours, and had a good time and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a recap or something like that. Pull up some of my threads of cool things I saw. So, all right. Other than that, guys, check out the channel. Check out the Old Glory Club. All that good stuff. And we'll see you guys around soon.